seeing it with they have to take over the media at the top. It's their mouthpiece. You can't try to take over this whole thing and say there's a coup going on without going after the mouthpiece. So if we don't see a change in the media whatsoever and some feathers ruffled and some big changes, there's something crazy. I mean, how do you do that? I mean, how do you go to the owners or just walk into the offices and take command? I mean, really, we know there's circuit boards in there that the FBI and NSA have that are overseeing all this shit. It comes down to the guys, man. Could you imagine if there was some shit pop off, man, and some dudes pulled guns and like there was a division in our ranks, like it happened like today? They would never report it.
Do you know that Hillary and the Obamas are going to be inside of Philly the day before the election?
What?
Interesting.
In the same exact place.
That stinks.
I wish I can go, but I don't have glasses, so I wouldn't be able to see a thing.
I don't see nobody in the chat. Normally, there's always people that jump into the fucking chat. I have not seen a single person jump into the chat.
Make sure you have it on Eastern.
What's that?
Make sure you have it on Eastern. The time.
Yeah, 1:30. Yeah, it was set to. There was a countdown earlier. It said 9 minutes, and we're past it. So I'm just gonna go live. We'll kick it off now.
Right on.
You get an echo from me?
No, you sound good.
All right, good.
So yeah, I'm gonna kick it up. And this is Dabu7 with another session of Underground World News Live. I want to welcome everybody to the show here. I'm joined by Eric and Casey. And I'm just going to talk about a few of the things going on here right now as we're in this final stretch here before Election Day. Chris Nally, nice comment. Welcome, everybody, to the show. Much love. And, yeah, we were just sitting here talking about the current stuff going on, this indictment, everything that they're talking about. A lot of the Psyop that's happening right now. And, you know, I think it's important that we stay up to speed with everything that's going on here. But first off here, how's everybody doing today?
Doing great, man. This is crazy as we lead into this election. It's like a crescendo. I can feel the pressure just building.
You're right, right. I do agree.
I can't wait till it's finally over.
You know, when is it going to be over is the question now. To me, it looks like they're going to try to drag.
That's the sad part about it.
Right. This could, what we've seen thus far, they've set the stage for everything we've been warning for months. And, you know, I sometimes wonder what has happened here at some of the events. Like, we knew they put a lot of energy into trying to go out to the RNC and the DNC with their BLM and other groups, and we exposed that. as a collective, all of us did. We got the information out there, and I think that really won in that battle, and it stopped big events from going down on those stages, so to speak. I truly do.
I agree.
In this, it's part of the battle, and it's our effect in fighting back. I mean, it's all we can do is try to speak the truth and get it out there, share it with as many people as possible. But in the process, they've came back attacking us. They even ran up on Eric in the streets, pointed him out, ran up on him, tried to run him off the streets, was in his face, and we exposed the whole thing. They've targeted us now because we're calling them out. But it has to be done. We have to keep on plugging. If they want to do things that are unrighteous and treasonous, we're going to call them out. They can say whatever they want. But a lot of things going on, swirling around in the air here right before election time. Anything you guys want to add here? Stuff going on?
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. It's weird that we're getting all this information leaking out. And the media is trying to whitewash it a bit. You know, they're not giving us all the dirty, sordid details. You got to come to YouTube and alternative media to find that. But you made a point earlier that, you know, if they didn't want this information out there, it wouldn't be out there. They got algorithms. I mean, we see how we've been censored on YouTube, and that's just a video hosting site. I mean, think of how much more they can do with the mainstream media, with Google, with all those things that they could just whitewash. And they're already doing this in other countries, you guys. They're already whitewashing the media in other countries, like China and other countries. So it can be done here, and we wouldn't even know it's happening.
What gets me with this whole thing, sorry to cut you off, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
What gets me with this whole thing is, if this information was said to be had for so long, why is it just now getting released so close to when this said candidate that this stuff involves could become president?
Right.
Like, it's so close.
Right.
Like, if this could have been done months ago, she would already have been indicted.
That gives more credence to how it's all planned and staged.
Exactly.
Shout outs to Michigan, Minnesota, Oregon, everybody that's tuned in here. I hope you guys are having a good day. I know you can feel Twitter all day. That doesn't mean crap. Maybe to the sheep, they're buffaloing them, but we're talking real moves. And when you start to back these people into a corner, that's when I feel that a false flag is coming, a big one. That's what bothers me the most. I can't put my thumb on it, exactly where, how it's going to be. But given everything that we've taken in thus far, a cyber attack, lights out situation is what I'm preparing for at some point. I mean, militias across the country, they're training. Different groups coming together, put out a video out on that. People taking this seriously. They think that no matter which way it goes, she wins, he wins. There's going to be some chaos. People preparing for that. That to me is what they've always wanted, man. Keep giving you these damn rigged polls,
It almost feels like too, like they're trying to desensitize us to the surveillance police state. Like, they're like, look, if had we not been, been watching all this stuff, she would have got away with this. And what this is setting up the future for is a place where if you do gain any traction politically on anything, they could easily blackmail you with some fake information, false information about what you did 20 years ago, and no one would be able to verify it.
Right. And it's all about, when you've got control of the mainstream in people's living rooms, you hit them with anything, any kind of information, any kind of lie, any kind of fake polls, any kind of sigil magic they want to drop on people constantly. This poll I just put out here a couple hours ago, under Hillary indictment, and this is trying to get a true gauge. This is and it reflects what I've seen with my own eyes going out across the country, seeing droves of people coming out in opposition to Hillary. But when I ask the question honestly, which one does she really deserve, overwhelmingly, at least 288 votes now, 94% say prison. That is overwhelmingly. And there's a discrepancy there, too, because the guy admitted that he accidentally clicked on it and submitted it. For what it's worth, he stated it. Calculate that in there. It'd be about 5% at least. So those are some, what I could tell you are true numbers. And that's what I suggest you guys do. Run your own polls, share them out there. Get a gauge on what the people are thinking and feeling. Because, man, these polls are reflecting like landslide.
And that's what gets me too, like with the polls with like CNN and Fox News. They're saying that they polled all of these individuals. But where's the poll? They don't tell you that you can go poll inside of their polls and everything like that. They just randomly pop up with what results without even announcing that they're doing one.
Right, and they can also target, when they do them, they can target pure Democrats or over a majority of Democrats or Democratic leaning or senior citizens or minorities that they brought in here.
Or they could completely make up the poll. I mean, there's no proof that a poll was ever taken.
That's what I said the other day when Rand Paul made that statement. He's like, they did it to us in our campaign. They were pushing on TV. They were up by 8%. But the reality was they were up 8%. They ended up winning. But he said that shows the deception. It's a false sense. It deters people from even going to the polls. And it's part of their illusionary magic that they're pulling on the people. And he admitted it. So it's happening. In talk of all the talk today is that there's an indictment likely in the FBI's Clinton Foundation probe. Okay, they're talking. What is that noise? Is that you, Casey?
Casey's eating chips.
I'm always getting into trouble, huh?
I was just checking. I was just seeing what it was, man, because I know other people are going to be asking, like, what is that noise? Hey, at least he's not sleeping. It's all good, man. It's all good. But what I see with this probe is bunch BS. Again, this is kind of how I see this panning out. I think that this is part of the big psyop, and I think that what they're about to do, if they don't bring in, like, totally remove her come Monday and replace her with a dark horse, I think that what they're going to do is they're going to flip the script, and you're going to hear the FBI come out and say, in these emails all of a sudden, and what it will do is it will exonerate her at the last minute. It will make her look free and clear right before Election Day, and then that's probably the exact same time they'll dump whatever last rounds they have on Trump. Big bombshell. Because after that, it doesn't matter. What's that?
Now, let's say she did win, and it's like November 10th, and out of nowhere, the indictment happens. Even though she didn't get sworn in yet, what could happen if she gets indicted?
That's a good question. That's going to get into a lot of legal jargon. You're going to definitely need some lawyers on tap to kind of tear through. I put out a video the other day kind of tearing into the surface of it on what happens if a candidate was to die or withdraw. So she wouldn't die, but she would be withdrawn in this instance. Or would she? I mean, people keep asking, what's it going to take for her to be ineligible? There actually was laws in place, but apparently there's loopholes that override that. The way that it goes is that this window right now it's easier to fix the situation. How they keep hinging it is this all falls back on the vice president. This would go if the votes went through and she was elected and she had to be removed for whatever reason, Kane would become your president. And it's like that. It falls back to the vice in those first couple phases. As time goes by, you're talking up to Election Day. And then once Election Day comes, it's up to the day they have everything voted and they're actually declared. And then it comes down to that window to the day that they're actually sworn in. And once you get that close, that's when everything gets murkier, a whole lot murkier as to what could really go down. Who could they replace? It says that it's actually in the hands of the DNC and the RNC to come together and to choose a person, not the vice at this point. It overrides it. And you're talking about the same corrupt groups that were just feeding questions. And
ultimately, what will happen is there has to be given sufficient time for them to have a replacement, which postpones the election, which is the bottom line. The end result is Obama stays in power.
what I don't like about that whole scenario at all is because if that's the case, then that means the American people wouldn't be voting for the president at all. They would have voted for Hillary. Well, they could make it look like they voted for Hillary. But
Easily
then
can.
if Hillary somehow can't do the swearing or anything, then the DNC can elect somebody that the American people didn't even
vote for.
Vote.
Exactly. It's the best way to get your dark horse in there right at the end. No time to dispute, to do it. Just ram it down their throats. And all in all, it's going to cause chaos unless they try to bring in some figure. I mean, who are they going to do? Who are they going to try to bring in? They've already said some of their top picks would be like Joe Biden, all part of the same cartels. You see, it's ridiculous. There's no win for the American people because, as I said before, you lose this whole thing when you let them fill the stage with candidates and you never have a horse in the race. And we've never had a horse in the race. There's never been one of us blue-collar poor folk to make it up on that stage without getting picked off or whatnot.
Yeah, and then when you vote for the better of two evils, you basically co-sign everything that winner does from that point forward. That's the trick.
Yeah.
That's the psyop.
The illusion of choice, right?
You basically are conceding to whatever they say it okay to do. And then they're all liars, so you're basically giving okay, let's say you got a daycare and you're going to hire some people to run this daycare. And the pedophile comes in and says, "Hey, I'm reformed. I'm not a pedophile anymore." You're still not going to hire that guy to that daycare. Well, why do we keep hiring the same politicians to run our country?
Right. It's good. Very good point. Good way to put it.
Yeah.
You know, here recently, all this information has apparently, been distributed through WikiLeaks, and this is another thing I want to talk about: the tentacles of the psyop. And I want you just to imagine, because sometimes you got to say, well, what if? You can't just box everything out. You got to look down every route. You have to, even if it's not the case. You have to keep your eyes peeled to all options here. So let's say, what if here? During this whole time, the information that was being fed through WikiLeaks was being done on purpose. Because it's hard for me to believe that something of this magnitude that could affect elections and everything like this, with the power that Google has, with the influence that they have on elections alone, and everything else that's going on, it's hard for me to believe they didn't nip this thing in the bud or silence it or stop it, because they have the way to do it. And it just seems to me this is played into their favor at this point. For whatever reason, people can't see it at the moment. But they've been saying it's coming from Russia. It's coming from Russia. I think most people know that all this hasn't been coming from Russia. Well, Assange comes out and says here, no, it's not coming from Russia. So who's it coming from? Is everyone out there still wondering? Well, here's your blank page to that agent that came out yesterday, that Steve guy that was talking about a coup and a counter coup. This is his website. It's blank. There's nothing there today. That guy said he and his fellow individuals that were behind this are the ones that sent it to WikiLeaks. He stated that. He said it loud and clear. They are the ones that sent it. Wasn't Russia. He's saying that other factions, basically inside of our own alphabet gangs, that don't want to see this corruption go down, that basically they did it. Now, this brings me to my other point. What if this guy's a part of it too? And they're controlling every avenue down as far as they can go. Because if they were truly going to play this smart, this is what they would do. You see? And a few things have been bothering me about the whole thing anyway. The repeated talk about FBI showing up at his house the next day, the next day, the next day, the next day. It was ticker taped in there. Now the next day, the page is down. Well, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that if someone had that much explosive information that they were releasing out there, the site would have been taken down yesterday. They wouldn't have waited till he went on someone's big show and made this announcement. They wanted it out there, so it's out there.
Not even just that, though. He would have been disappeared.
Right. You've got, and I've asked these questions about certain individuals in this thing the whole time. Hopefully people are starting to see it. But this does not mean that every single thing that a person says was wrong. There could have been a whole lot of truth, and I believe there was, because there has to be. The only way that you're going to sell it is if it's packed full of some juicy truth. You got to have them take the hook. You have to, or it doesn't work. It was a waste of time. And they surely want this to work and to carry on, not fall apart within a couple days. You see?
I think they want the American people to rise up. I think that's what they want.
I've said that the whole time. They've trying to find a way to get people actually off their asses and to do something, but at the same time, they want them fighting each other, not against the system. They want to divide you, have you fighting against one another. Then everything we've talked about before with their UN troops and everything they're going to send in as help, it all be implemented.
I mean, think about how easy this would be. Cut off some gas supply, cut off a pipeline, cut off food supply. Then what happens? We start turning on each other. We start stealing from each other. Then they'll have a reason to come in and implement martial law, because they'll just say, oh, the citizens are stealing from each other and looting each other.
Yeah, we can't have that. I said before that we're in this together, guys. You send people out en masse to different places, and I forgot here. Let me check in. I think Mike was going to go down to a polling station go down to a voting station between 1 and 3. If he ends up popping off with any live feed there, I'll share it. If you're out there and you hear me, brother, hit me up on Twitter and let me know if you're out there going live or plan to go live at any time, and I will share that. Show people what's going on. But we talked about keeping your eyes peeled at these stations, what's going to happen, what's going on. I mean, if you're going in and voting for someone and you're letting the whole damn world know it anyway, and you can walk right out in the street and say it, then why stop? Why is it illegal for you to go in with the camera and show everybody what you voted for? Because if everybody did it, you could then bust them. That's why it's illegal.
Right. To give a correction, he will be at the Melania Trump event today, just outside of Philadelphia.
Yeah, and they were put in. I'll say this: it'd be very interesting to see if Melania draws in a bigger crowd than Hillary. I'm serious.
I think she will.
I've seen it with my own eyes. That's what's crazy. I've seen it with my own eyes across the country. It's crazy, and to know where this whole thing's going. I mean, I'm right there with everyone else that'd be in pure disbelief if they try to come out and announce this woman's won this, especially when today the headlines running are likely indictment. Okay, but like I said, fully expect a big bombshell or a little switchy-do and their little magic tricks come by Monday morning. All the FBI Comey's got to come out and say is, oh, she's exonerated. And then guess what? The whole illusion is plastered across the mainstream media in every living room constantly, along with their ads, right before people are heading out to the polls, taking over the radio while they're driving in.
And I think it's curious that there's no video footage of them raiding the DNC headquarters. All we see is like a couple snapshot pictures. Is there any video footage out there?
When they did that, there was somebody that had footage outside. They were carrying out box after box and loading it up into a truck, into a moving truck. And I did see the footage of that.
Right on.
But it's still, I mean, who's to say? We would just witness guys in voting stations. There's certain places, guys, at the voting booths where all the stuff that's tracked is locked away and signed off by both the Democratic and Republican Party. And overnight, no one can open that. No one can get into it. It has to be done in the presence of both parties, by neutral parties there too. They caught on camera guys just popping the lock and going in and going through it. That's your votes right there. That easy. Some dude on night shift ripping through American votes. Can you believe that? That's what's happening. And you want to talk about manipulating these machines? Very easy. You guys see the video here recently on fractional magic and what they've done just by introducing decimal points into the system and taking over everything and being able to manipulate the whole thing. Within minutes, the guy went in and switched a percentage of the database that was heavily, like 80% for one guy, completely switched it for the other guy. He did it within a matter of minutes. And with simple technology, and some of this technology law enforcement has. So you know the alphabet gangs have it, and it's very easy, man. There's no form of checks and balances this way. You know, some people say good old paper ballot, write it, cast it. They should be all counted. And I heard somebody say in Texas that they were able to actually go in and look on a website and verify that their vote was casted. I know other people that's gone on looking that haven't voted in the past couple of years because they didn't think there was a worthy candidate. They come to find out that their votes were casted for Obama, and they're highly upset about it. And can you imagine how many people that's happened to?
All it takes is just some coding in a program, and things could be easily manipulated.
Easily. One engineer, one subcontractor. They were taking computers out of the place till they realized they were on camera, and then they were ordered to get it out of the car and bring it back in. It is absolutely crazy. And that's just one instance. They've got these teams all over the country doing this. And the people that go along with it and play along with this and are a part of this treason, these low-level individuals that are not thinking twice, think they're just they're taking orders, doing what they're told to get their paycheck. They're gonna pay for this. Everybody to play a part. But see, I think that's the thing. I think they've got the stage set that they're never going to have to answer to this. Even it was Bush that said, if the people ever knew what we did, they'd be lynching us in the streets. Came out of his own mouth. Oh, yeah? What, do you think they're going to be around for that lynching? I don't. I think they'll be long gone. The only way to do that is, I think, cause a huge distraction. I just don't know exactly what it's going to be, but I feel it coming.
And we know that's their expertise too.
Just sucks. They're stuck here. I mean, it just sucks, dude.
Like, actually, everyone look into it. The federal government does hire different movie directors for different scenarios, for different things. Any of those scenarios can easily be played out, just like a movie, because it's the movie directors that are writing the scenarios.
Yep, you're right. So, I mean, at this point, it's anybody's guess how they're going to flip this, but I have a strong feeling that this whole thing with the FBI and the investigation is going to be flipped by Monday.
I do too. I think it's going to take a 180-degree turn, and it's going to be what we least expect. And we think we have this figured out, but it's actually going to go in a completely different direction.
And what gets it too is,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, what it really matters with that too is it depends on what time on Monday. Will it be when everybody's in their offices? Will it be when everybody's leaving their offices in their cars listening to the radio? At nighttime on the nightly news? That's what it really comes down to.
For what?
For them to make any announcement that they're most likely going to make. Because timing is everything with the American people.
Exactly. Even the Cubs just winning the World Series, which, by the way, was predicted in Back to the Future. We've been doing all these time travel decodes on my channel. We found the date of the 5th of November in 3 different time travel movies that were 3 years apart. And now we have the fulfillment of the Cubs finally winning the World Series. Now, they said 2015 in the movie, Back to the Future 2, and it ended up being 2016. But the interesting thing about 2016 is it's a leap year. So maybe that was the joke. But it just goes to show how all this stuff is controlled on some kind of a spiritual, satanic level. And we do everything we can to get our hands around it. But, you know, this stuff can escape us pretty easily unless we're all on top of it looking at this stuff.
Yeah, I agree,
That's a
man.
really good point.
Shout outs to everybody that's tuned in. I want to give a shout out to everybody out there that's fighting the good fight. Everybody's out there looking for answers. I know. We all are. Trying to put the bigger picture together here. Once again, I want to let folks know out there, if you're streaming at any point and you want to try to get whatever you're streaming out, hit one of us up. If we can and we're in a position and we can XSplit it or mirror it over, we will play our part to get it out there. I'd really like to be able to try to set something up for Tuesday where we have multiple, like maybe, you know, for hours all day. I'm not sure yet. I'm going to have to see how this all goes. I've been trying to get through multiple platforms here through Facebook and Twitter. I haven't got the Twitter thing figured out through the XSplit yet, but hopefully I can talk to B and we can get that hashed out. But regardless, I want to kind of do a little constant check-in with different places to show people, you know, what it's looking like. How to hear from the people in the streets, hear what they've got to say. If there's any first-time voters coming out, to see if there's any staged crap going on, if there's anyone out there causing crap. And look at it like this. You really got two big options in front of you. Now, obviously, it's how they've said it with the presidency. But I'm talking in repercussions, okay? And think about this. It's in my opinion, by looking at a majority, I'm talking about a majority of what I've seen. I'm not speaking for all and everyone. And I know a lot of people out there feel that this is illusion of choice. I'm with you. That neither candidate floats the boat for you. But many people will agree and say that the positives of Trump are far better than anything that Hillary brings to the table, obviously. And especially with the thing with Obamacare. And I have a link down below. It shows what Obamacare itself, the disaster Obamacare has done, what it's doing positively for the Trump campaign at this point. But when these people take office, whoever's to take office, you got to think about this. If there's bad stuff going on with Obamacare now, it's going to continue under Hillary. Trump and them say they're going to do away with it. They're not going to force people to do something. That's Gestapo. To force people to have to buy something that they don't need or something like that. Completely Gestapo. It was the government's takeover of your healthcare system. I hope you people see that. But this is my thing. If chaos ensues, if it literally hits the fan here come election time, think about it. If Trump wins, this is what we're going to have to deal with. If Trump wins, you're going to have to deal with a majority of what we've already seen coming from Hillary, coming from the DNC, and what would be the losing party in that instance. You would see their goons en masse, like you've never seen them before, out in droves. Not only that, you would see these illegal immigrants that have been hiding in the shadows this whole time finally come out. The same ones that are coming out of the shadows with their license they were given by the Obama administrations under catch and release to vote. And the vote is going to count. And they were brought here illegally. And they're using them to their advantage. They're going to use them, I believe, to stoke any chaos if it goes that way, obviously. On the other hand, if this thing is handed over to Hillary, obviously you're going to have a bunch of pissed off Americans out here that are in support of Trump. And it's two different realms. It's two different groups of people that have been, you know, completely two totally different groups of people, obviously, but it's two different settings you're going to have to deal with. So,
yeah, what worries me is that you have the people that are just oblivious to what is going on. They're oblivious to the Psyop, even the possibility of a Trump Psyop. And there's so much emotion tied into anybody who questions or says anything bad about Trump. And that worries me because that tells me people are leading with their emotions instead of looking at the truth. I mean, for Pete's sake, you guys, the guy owned freaking hotels and casinos where there's prostitutes that are allowed to come into the casino. And, you know, there's this whole mob underpinnings that all work together with the owners of these hotels. And I'm not saying this to try to bash Trump. Again, what I'm saying is, what happened to our minds? I mean, there's full-on Christians that are behind Trump thinking he's like the Messiah and stuff. I mean, it's weird. It's like people are under some kind of a spell.
Right. He may be the better choice, but he's no angel. Okay. Let's get that clear. And it's not just going to be him, just like it's not the Obama administration, just like it's not just Hillary with the Clinton cartel. There's teams around these people that make things happen. There's more to it, you know, just like Hillary has been right there in the shadows this whole time of the Obama administration. She's been in this for 30 years and is I can't believe there's people out there still thinking that her running as president would bring about any good change. I mean, it's really sick, but
hands down. Yeah, hands down. She's the way worst choice. The problem is how did we even get to?
Go ahead. Sorry.
How did we even get to the point where we have two horrible choices for president? Like that right there exposes the system already.
That's it. That's the linchpin for me. That's where we lose. That's where we've lost the election. If you let it get past that point, that media frenzy right out the gate of all the people announcing who's going to run for president and this, that is your window of opportunity to get true Americans on stage. If you miss that opportunity, it's game over because you never had a horse in the race. But I'm not going to discount anything from happening here. And even if it comes, even Trump, okay, it comes down to this with me. We talk about the evil in the bloodline. We talk about the control. Well, Kennedy came from the same bloodline. But something happened inside of John F. Kennedy where he saw the truth, where he believed in getting the truth to the people, and they killed him for that. What it shows is even from their own bloodlines, the good can shine through. JFK wasn't perfect. We all know it. He had mistresses, the whole nine. It's all well known. All this stuff, but he made a change away from their control. He called out the money system. He called out what they were doing, the cartels, the whole nine, and he was a part of the family bloodlines. So yeah, they murdered him in front of everybody, and who sat there on the front steps and watched it? Bush Sr., front row seats, watched his head get blown off in a process called the killing of the king. And that's the example they tried to set, with him. But the example it showed me is this comes down to the hearts of men and women. Okay. And it doesn't matter what it is out there. I feel like at some point good can shine through. Now, let's just say our only hope was that there was what if you have all these billionaires, these rich guys, they're in this room. Ever since they were even born, they've been fed literally with a golden spoon in a multi-mansion with 50 rooms. They live like rock stars. They're like the elite. You see what I'm saying? They have this way about them, this arrogance about them, and all that we control the world. We control the people. We control everything. Now imagine you come up in that kind of lifestyle, in that kind of environment where you're all powerful. Like we control these goyim. We control all these people. Okay. A lot of people, it seems right now in the world we live in, are satisfied with doing that. They're born into that lifestyle. There's been very few that have spoke out against its atrocities. Some could say Princess Di did, and then look what happened to her. But my thing is this: there has got to be someone out there that can make this change at the right time. I'm not going to rule it out that anyone can, because think about it: if you want to get somebody into that seat, what if you had to play the game? What if someone had to say, guess what? I'm going in undercover. You got to go all the way to the top, but to do it, you've got to play the game and actually make it look like you're bought in through and through to the whole thing, dedicated to the whole thing. To that critical moment when you get to the top, you yank the curtain down.
Well, and you can always change your mind too. Like when they get up and they might have been corrupt to begin with, and then try to change their mind. And here's the thing:
And oftentimes they get killed for that.
exactly. And what can happen is they didn't sell out right away. They may give the image that they might sell out, but the elite use dirt on each other and blackmail to control each other. That's what they do. So they got all these pictures. In fact, like with this Anthony Weiner thing, they're talking about, I guess they're saying that he had saved up a bunch of like blackmail stuff on Hillary on his phone. And then they found all that when they did this, when they confiscated his phone. And this is what they do to each other. But with some of them, they don't have any dirt yet. And so therefore they have no choice but to just kill them, because once they start taking over power, they just have to take them out at that point.
Right. Yeah, there hasn't been a big assassination on the political scene. It seems like, back throughout the years, it was riddled. I mean, you had JFK, then you had Martin Luther King, you had RFK, Robert Kennedy, shot and killed right there in the open. You had Reagan that was shot right there in the open, broad daylight. Since that event here on the political scene, some could say that one senator that got shot, and I feel like that was part of a staged event there under gun control, that Gabby Giffords or whatever that they push all the time. But even like you were just saying, you just said that Weiner dude, he had on his phone all the blackmail on Hillary. His wife, through these WikiLeaks emails, was pushing for gun control on the Eric Garner case. But little did her dumbass know that he was choked out on the ground. He didn't have a gun.
Exactly.
It wasn't tied to gun. That's how ignorant. That's how quick they are to just push the button. Oh, well, let's push gun control. No, there wasn't a gun involved, you idiot. That's how they are. That's how these people operate. And yes, it's about holding blackmail on them. I mean, that's right down to the Masonic oath. As soon as they stick swords to their throats inside of a coffin and tell them that their tongue will lay on the ebbs of the ocean, of the beach, if they want to go against any. Why do you think there's pictures of Tony Blair out there naked with a hog's head in his lap? In all this stuff. This is part of their Masonic ritual, and I hear something in the background playing.
I think that's Eric.
No, I think it was me.
I've been muted.
Blame it on Eric. Well, and it's funny because the vagina took down Bill Clinton, and it looks like the wiener is going to take down Hillary Clinton.
Good punchline. That's I mean, come on now. That's America should expect the exact same. The Clinton cartel going right back into the White House. That's what we're trying to get rid of here. Obviously, we're trying to get rid of that same of the football, back and forth, through these cartels that make it seem like it's a choice between the Democrats and Republicans. And I tell you what, if you guys look at the history of the Democratic Party, if you take the time to watch Hillary's America, I did the other day, try to squeeze it in if you can. Hopefully some of you have already seen it. It will give you the painted history of this Democratic Party. And it's not what they teach you in school. It's what you should be taught in school, but you'll never get taught it. And it should piss you off because this is the information your children should know. You see exactly what they've been doing and just how dangerous and how racist and how these people are. I mean, they're just truly evil, in my opinion. It's not just to say all Democrats out there are evil or anything like that. I'm talking the roots of the Democratic Party, because there's people that buy into Democrat, Republican every day, but they don't know any better out there. They may see a Democrat that they like, so they gravitate toward them. Or they may see a Republican they like in their state, so they gravitate toward them. That's how it all begins. But that's part of the problem. The independent has been smashed so much, they constantly suppress it, that they never let anyone give rise in that movement.
That, and also, like, I see it all the time. People are just doing I have to vote Democrat because my whole family votes for Democrat.
You have that problem. I've seen a lot of shifting. I've seen a lot of shifting here recently. Lifelong, Democrats going Republic, for instance.
Well, that's part of the division. I mean, the red and blue, Democrat, Republican.
It is.
And here's the thing, let's get real here and talk about race. Okay, Eric and I are black. And we have families and people that have certain political dispositions. And if we go outside that disposition, we're called names, Uncle Tom, sellout, all these things, without even any discussion on the views, on the political views. And this is real, you guys. And those of you guys in the chat that are black, you've experienced this. And some of you just vote secretly if you do vote Republican. But basically, you're expected as a black person to vote for the Democratic Party.
If you're in that position, go watch Hillary's America. You sit down with your family, run that, and then you'll see at the end, you'll actually see black, what was Democratic all their life, switching over to Republican because of what they seen, what they discovered. And I'm not trying to switch anybody here either way, because I'm telling you it's illusion of choice. But I'm going to tell you that by the end of that film, people en masse were awakening to the deception of the roots. It's what they're not teaching you in school. The racism that was embedded, the assassination of Lincoln, of all the other atrocities that were connected, and really what they stood for. It lays it out good and shows a part of history that I guarantee you most people were never taught in school. And they're still not teaching today, which, the winners of these wars, the victors, they rewrite the history books. I think Napoleon said it.
It's straight up mind control, man, is what it is. And they've got, who was it? Lyndon B. Johnson was the one who said those ends, well, they'll be voting Democrat for the next 500 years. Now, do you want to be part of something that the Democratic Party stated that they would have us all tricked as black people to vote for them? I mean, think about that for a minute.
And then bring in Democratic black Obama, or half black, however you want to put it. But you see, that's the thing with him, is they use him, they pawn him off as, oh, he can relate to the blacks. Well, he's part white, so he can relate to the whites too. Well, he's Christian to these people. Well, no, he's Muslim to these people. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And
all he is just a celebrity, pretty much.
That's all anymore. You're right. It's like Hollywood. It's an extended version of Hollywood, is what this is.
Exactly.
And I mean, the establishment, it shows it, because Hillary's pulling out Jay-Z, Baphomet worshiping, what's her name, Katy Perry, pulling all their Hollywood and musical industry Luciferian goons to come out and pay the dues. You come out and put on a concert, and we want you to subdue the youth and make them think that Trump is bad and you're voting for Hillary. That's what they do.
The difference between the whole political system and the celebrity system, like, I'm not saying the system in whole, but I'm talking about the way and how they're viewed to us by the media. We pay the celebrities to do what they do, and then they become celebrities because we're just giving them money to do it. Well, yeah, we're paying them. But with the political side, they're pretty much celebrities, and we have no choice but to pay them.
You hit the nail on the head, Eric. It's all team sports. Our whole society is a giant team sport, whether it be politics, whether it be religion, whether it be anything. This is the Masonic checkerboard. This is the black and the white. And look how successful they've been at dividing all of us. We're on so many teams, we don't even know who we are anymore.
Yeah.
Red or blue.
Dividing people.
Black or white.
There's something strange. There's something strange going on with Obama. And I don't know if you guys remember this, but I was following politics heavily about a decade to 12, 15 years ago. And when Obama first came on the scene, I don't know if anybody remembers this, but that guy couldn't get one sentence out of his mouth without stuttering. When someone stutters, they stutter for life. Like, what happened? Was he like replaced with like a clone or something? Like, why doesn't he stutter anymore?
Could have been a glitch in his programming.
Yeah.
I remember what you're talking about back when he was a senator.
Yeah. Guy couldn't even talk.
It's like
he could barely be on stage.
Right. And when he was being called out for not even being allowed to be there. Remember that? Remember the guys he was running against in Chicago? I used to have the video up and they took it down. Didn't hit me with a strike. Didn't hit me with a strike or nothing. Just removed it. Because it was Obama standing on stage and the guy was like, you weren't even born in this country. A senator debating Obama right there in Chicago called him out on it. He did not deny it.
Wow.
That was all that always stood out to me in my mind as a big video, and then they took it. And when they took it, I knew it was big time. And I'll tell you another one that they took from me that you're never going to see again, and it was that video that I put out about that crackhead from Chicago that had proof. It had solid proof, and it showed it that he was smoking crack and having sexual relations with Obama. And this dude was basically a she-male. The male, I don't know what he was trying to portray himself at the time. I guess it's whatever, male or female, whatever. He was just an individual that was doing whatever he could to get his drugs. And it was crack at the time. And one of the people that was smoking the crack with him at the time was Obama.
What?
Yep. And
yep, I remember that.
That was another. That was see. I'm glad you remember. That was another video of mine that was taken. And every time that happens, I know that there's something. It's almost like they don't want to leave any proof of it. They don't even want to allow me to argue it, commend it, or like comment on it, do any research on it, reference it in any way. Like it never existed.
Yeah, and if you guys don't believe what Dabu is saying, this shit is real. And this happens to me often. I contribute on a couple different websites, and anytime I do anything bad or say anything bad about Obama at all, it is censored. The views go down to it's ridiculous censored. Like I'll share the story like on my YouTube channel where at least 100 people are going to see it, but yet the views will never go past like 10 or 12 views on the site that I'm hosting the news on. And it's like straight up censorship, and they don't even care that they're censoring it. Like they don't even care. It's just like they just know it's going to happen, and then they know that no one's going to really care, and it's just going to go right under people's noses. I just said a bad word, didn't I? You guys are like, Casey said the S word. He must be pissed.
Did you? I didn't even pay attention.
Neither did I.
I was sitting like, what'd you say?
I slipped it right in.
It happens. It happens. No one's perfect. People need to get that right. I want to give a shout out again to everybody that's tuned in. Spends their day here with us. Much love to all you guys. I believe it or not, man, I try to keep tabs on some of you guys out there. You may not even know it in your work. Some of you guys doing some good work out there. Even if some of you may have some smaller channels, even a couple hundred subs. Seen some people out there putting in work. Shout outs to all you guys fighting a good fight. Much love to all you guys out there. We are in very interesting times, to say the least. And yeah, man. Here we come up on this week. Normally they drop big bombshells of news on a Friday. They'll let the people, kind of sit on it for the weekend or whatever. Stock market shuts down for the weekend, all that other stuff. But on this weekend, you're going to see the news in like hyperdrive, especially knowing that it's controlled establishment news here. They've been colluding with Hillary this whole time. This is the BS that should throw this all out. We are the people. We honestly are the judge, jury, and executioner. We are the people. So we, the people in mass, should hold treasonous people accountable in mass. Bring them out to the fields, bring them out to the flats of Kansas. Let every person show up as far as your eye can see, and let's try these individuals for treason in this country. You see? And
yep.
That's how it has to be done, man. And you have to have good people, righteous people, law-abiding people ready to do the job the right way.
Yeah, some people brought up in the chat Oprah. And it's interesting because Oprah has Harpo Studios, which is Oprah backwards. And she also has OWN, which is Oprah Winfrey Network. And that backwards is NWO, New World Order. Now, it's interesting because this woman of frontwards and backwards and reflective mirror synchronicities in her life also said that Obama, he is the one. Well, if you backmask what she said, quote, he is the one, when you backmask that, it says, now we see. Just like when Obama, when he says, yes, we can, when you backmask that, it says, thank you, Satan.
Yeah.
See, so
that's another video of mine that they removed. Man, we're hitting some key stuff here. I remember the time where it had so many pop into my head that I remember that have been yanked. That was another. We ran it in reverse. Hail Satan. He said it time and time. He said, "Hail to the Pharaoh Zeus." Clearly, it was all there. That was in his opening speech after we won the presidency. It was all there.
And he said, "Yes, we can." And look at his final nail in the coffin. Yes, we can. I can control the internet.
Wow,
it's crazy. Gave away control of the internet from the United States to them.
Says I can, pretty much, yeah.
Too much truth, guys. Too much truth.
You can't take the heat.
Overload.
Out the kitchen. Pie's on fire in here.
Yeah. So what do we do now? We just got to keep calling it out, right?
Yeah, and most people don't understand this. They can't wrap their head around how does "yes we can" translate into "hail Satan" backward. Well, I tell you what, a lot of your music, a lot of everything that you consume, your mind will be blown if you just reverse it. We've shown it time and time again in different music, and this is how they do it. This is how we talk about everything is inverted. This is how they communicate in inverted. Everything's mirrored. And this is how everything is set up. We've talked about it time and time again. This is hence their secret, their Masonic logo, as above, so below. They hide everything in plain sight. But the influence here on this election is deep. Man, when you've got someone they're talking about indictment, we've busted them for pay to play. They're colluding with the mainstream media. They're getting the questions and answers giving to them for the debates. They are manipulating the polls. What is it going to take for someone to grab the hook and yank this person off stage? To say, hey, I mean,
how much more evidence do we need?
Right. I mean, yeah, I think that it's part of it too. How far can we push them? How far can we push this? They won't do nothing. Can we actually just take this whole election? Yeah, they may protest in the streets for a week or two, but they'll get over it. You know, is that how they're approaching it? You know, or
I think that's kind of how it is. Because, like, if you notice, like, when anything really big comes out, I don't know where something happens with sports. Sports player does something that he's not supposed to do. Non-stop media coverage.
Right. Right. Like, we've got all these serious things going on, involve our country and implicate Hillary big time. But then it's just slanderous stuff that you've seen with the woman coming out of the saying Trump touched me or some crap like that. All these false accusations. It's really a circus, man. I hope so many people out there are waking up to it on the daily, seeing what they're doing here, lying so bad. Hopefully this week we have a man on the ground up in the Dakotas at the pipeline protest. Hopefully Reb Z can get up there in position, and we'll have a set of eyes and ears on the ground up there. Be able to get some frontline information from what's happening up there.
Yeah, I just did a video not too long ago about this whole 9/11 thing, man. I mean, this just keeps coming back up, and I don't know why, but I feel like we need to keep talking about it. You know, I feel like it all fits into everything that's going on.
Mirrored is 11/9.
Exactly, which is coming up, which is day after the 5th of November this year, 11/6, 11/9. But more importantly, when you look, there was actually a study that was done with rats in a cube. And around the rim of this cube, the inside part of it, they lined it with water bottles for the rats. They gave them everything they needed, bedding, food, and water. And when I took this cube and I stuck it side by side next to the World Trade Center Memorial Reflecting Pool and saw the water spilling down in the exact same spot where the water bottles were lining the inside of this cube full of rats in this experiment, I was shocked because it was an exact match. But it goes deeper because the person that did the experiment, his name was Calhoun, and he called the race of rats that ended up causing the destruction and end of this pod of rats He called them the beautiful ones. Now, this was a decade or so before Prince ever wrote the song Beautiful Ones, right? And the beautiful ones were this race of effeminate rats. And then when given all the food and stuffing and bedding and water that they could eat, but then they were confined in this cube, they turned into these effeminate homosexual rats who basically ceased reproduction. And that's what ended up causing the end of the race of rats. Now, here's where it gets interesting, because the beautiful one was Prince. And this whole experiment started the year Prince was born in 1958. And Prince became the beautiful one. And he sings about it, talking about them smashing the picture and the lyrics. And the picture being smashed was 9/11. It was also the reflection, because you look in a mirror and there's a reflection, right? Just like a reflecting pool. But it goes deeper, because when Prince died, he died on the 111th day of the year. And 9/11 has 111 days remaining in the year.
Pac smashed the mirror on purpose.
Yes. Now check this out. The beautiful ones.
I see you out there real quick. I see the cats. You keep dumping it that there's crisis actors coming down from Canada to come down to Colorado for November. Make note of that, people. Crisis actors from Canada coming down to Colorado for November. Go ahead.
Right on. I'll finish up the story here. Now, the beautiful one released 88 days after the 88th day of the year. Now, this is where it gets creepy, because that date was June 25th, the day Michael Jackson died. Now, when they shot off the xenon lights in the World Trade Center after 9/11 happened, every year on 9/11, they shoot off the lights. How many lights do they shoot up in the sky that look almost purple, like purple rain? 88 lights. So there you go.
Wow.
Perfect circle.
Hidden in plain sight.
Yep.
Like they always do. And speaking of hidden in plain sight, recently I talked about this thing called Asgardia, the space station type thing where 100,000 people were supposed to go. And they were talking about all this stuff about getting people to live up there, and it was going to be its own nation and all this other stuff. I did a video on it and put it out there. Well, the Sun picked it up here recently and was kind of like trying to mock me with what I was doing. They were saying conspiracy theorists, and they just kept trying to say conspiracy theorists. They couldn't refute anything that I said in the article. But wake up today, and the Daily Mail hit me up in an email and asked if they could use the first 30 seconds of my video. So I'm like, I wonder how you guys are going to spin this. I was like, go ahead. At least they asked, you know. So they kind of started off the same way with the whole conspiracy theorist thing. And then, of course, the only person that they mentioned, they say all these comments from different people, but the only name that they mentioned was mine. This one, they actually go on to say what people actually, agree with them. And they leave it more open, not as like an attack. But I have other people that were commenting on that, saying, "Hey, look, did you see this and that?" And I see it. It's hidden in plain sight. That's what I said there with those images. It was the eye and the flower of life, both ticker taped in plain sight right there. And that's how they do. They hide things in plain sight all the time.
Yeah, that's straight up, man. You can't deny that.
It's kind of the part about it, like they have to tell us, so they do tell us, but they told us, but you just didn't know.
Yeah,
unless you're paying close attention.
And they worship ancient Egypt, and so that is what's going on with that. And they're going to do it in plain sight. They're trying to whitewash history. Now, that's really cool that they recognized that your work, Dabu. And for those people out there that are unsure of how to find any references of us in the mainstream media, you can simply go into Google and you can just type in like Dabu's name in Google. And then there's like a news tab. You hit news. I'm seeing 9 results. Looks like where the mainstream media covered your work, Dabu. And
where?
I think I have let's see, court extends voter registration 36 county. So if you do a Google search, just put in your name, Dabu, and then hit the news tab, and you'll see it. There's like 9 results.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you can do the same with mine. Enter the 5 T4s.
Everybody, yeah, any channel out there, you could do that and be able to see.
It's good because this means we're getting into the mainstream. We're getting our name out, getting the truth found out by more people versus being stuck in our silo here on YouTube. And that's the whole point. Is to
Even though sometimes they're doing it to try to make a mockery of the whole thing, like I felt like the Sun was trying to do initially there. That's what they'll try to do. But if you read the stories, there was nothing they could say to refute anything I said. They had no defense for anything, but besides to call us conspiracy theorists.
Some publicity is still good publicity. People are saying the name.
Yeah, I mean, as long as we're getting out there and getting the messages counts, but it's got to be clear. They can't. It's just sometimes it could be just as bad as someone distorting the message. As long as they didn't do that. Like is what it is. But yeah, as a response to everyone out there that was asking me, I seen it, and thank you for watching out. And I have links to all the stuff we've talked about in the description box below. And you'll see another story in there about China unveiling the world's most powerful drone. This was just dropped. And they're saying this. It says it has a range of 12,500 miles. It can stay in the air and stay in the air and stay in the air. We've seen the solar ones that can just stay constantly. But why they're saying this right now, they have equipment out there, orbs and other technology, anti-gravitics and propulsion that blow these drones away. I mean, this is just for show for the people. But now all of a sudden, everything's gearing toward China, China. And they're trying to show that, China's got this, China's got that. China's China. It's communist controlling regime that no doubt has had its hands on our people, even Hillary, other people. We've seen, what was it, Harry Reid, all the land and the stuff that was going down with the Chinese out west. And all those things. Not forget about that. They have deep-rooted interest here in this country. And no doubt, just like a lot of the places, you have OPEC, you have all these lobbyists from different countries, Saudi Arabia, Israel, all this stuff that goes on where they lobby for control. They're basically buying out our people. That's what they're doing. So they get these huge sums. They get these huge sums of money, millions of dollars in checks and all this stuff. Sometimes just on the outside, they'll say, Bill came out here and made a speech, but we paid him $60 million for it. $60 million for a 20-minute speech. As well as I do, that's not the case. It was the return to favor on the other side is what it was covering for. And, that's why murderers and other people, true criminals, get pardoned by these people. And that's ridiculous. While you have other people rotting in jail for lesser crimes or crimes they didn't even commit.
Yep, exactly.
While these people that are completely crooked are actually on stage running for the presidency of the United States. Just blows my mind.
Yep. And how they get away with it.
Running for the highest powers in the country.
With their finger on the nuclear button. Exactly. And we just let them do it. Sometimes I wonder, why can't we all rally together and get behind a write-in candidate? I mean, look at the truth community. Imagine if we could get 1 million people to write in a candidate, just somebody we pick on YouTube, somebody we trust. Heck, it could be you, Dabu, it could be Eric, because we all know that we're going to hold each other accountable. It doesn't matter, though. It's the point. It's the point of it. It's like we can all work together to run the country, not be run by other people. And with our numbers, we could do that.
It's true. Communication is key.
Or we could say, if you're gonna go to the polls and vote, and you're disheartened and disenfranchised with both candidates, then write in this person. We should have that already established as a truth community. A write-in person. It doesn't even really matter who it is, as long as it's not someone that's involved.
We saw how D's nuts was trending and all this other stupid stuff that they put out there. They found a way to make it catch traction. You know what I'm saying? But if that could have actually been an individual that you can find a way to catch traction behind, then that's different. That's what they don't want to see. And they will try to suppress it. All it takes is a click of the button. When Google controls all the algorithms and it can sway the election itself, they got to put you at the bottom of the search results. They'll put all the hater videos of you up there first. You see, that's how it works. And it's sick. That's what you got to be prepared to go against. But when people realize that, and can see it for what it is, it's a little bit different. Starting to tear through the deception. Curtain's starting to fall a little bit. But they control both avenues. They've done this in every war throughout history, guys. They control both sides of the war. And they always do this. So you've got to be prepared. And I'm also not ruling out a whole dark horse situation at the ticker here coming down by Monday. Something crazy happening.
Yeah.
But
weren't there supposed to be multiple WikiLeaks in the days leading up to the election, like every single day? Is there any updates in Twitter?
Well, there have been. I think today there was just another dump, number 27 or whatever they're up to now. And
it's been every day, but there's a lot of information to process through.
It is. It's a lot to have to sift through and go through. And I've seen stuff on Disclosure even mentioned in there, and that guy was big on Disclosure and alien life. Podesta was, and was also pitching it out there as part of her campaign that she would try to, and all this other stuff. But in the WikiLeaks, there was stuff about Disclosure that they were mentioning, and then that all goes into the deception. How far are they willing to go with this whole thing? And pull that final card to pull off the illusion. If they feel it's falling apart, will they pull that blue beam card or whatever? That staged invasion. What's the one way to get this whole world, regardless if they're fighting over color, religion? What's the one way to get them? Ronald Reagan repeated it more than anything I think he ever did in his speeches, time and time again. He kept hinting and saying, what are we going to do if we fight someone from outside of this world? He said it time and time again. And you have to ask the question, why? What was he hinting at? But if you answer the question, everyone would drop their guns and come together, and that is the best way they would form a new world order. They draw everyone in together, and then they have their false prince of peace at the top, and I'm fully expecting that something like that's in the works at some point.
Is that you clipping your toenails, Eric?
No, I'm going through some computer parts.
Computer parts. That's another thing. And I got to say this for people that out there that are going to want electronics after an EMP type of situation for your car, communication, you better start nesting inside of a small Faraday cage these backup parts, small computers, things like that. Okay, that's the difference. You can get your cars back up and running and have transportation and have things like that, forms of communication, if you just prepare the right way. You may not be able to afford brand new or all these things, but if you get the right little components, you can still stay afloat.
And one thing I would definitely recommend, like if you're going to do it a Faraday cage, I would recommend getting like a couple like little cheap cell phones. Of course, you're not going to have any service after the power outage or whatever, but you can stuff a lot of like ebooks on a phone's SIM card, SD card.
Right, knowledge.
You put a lot of information, and it's so small you can just fit it right in your pocket.
Yeah, you want stuff downloaded is what you need. You don't need something like you're going to go to Google and research and try to get the information today. That'd be gone. The only thing you're going to have is what you've downloaded to your computer. If you've downloaded the PDF, the cookbook out there for survival, and other things that are good to have on hand, you might want to make sure you have a download of it and have it either printed out on paper or, like Eric said, stored in a device like that's in the Faraday cage where you can still access that information. Because the computers that get wiped out, any information you had on them, gone.
Do they have solar chargers for your phone? Like you could hook it up to solar, it could charge your devices?
They actually have a whole they have, and listen, this is what I've been looking into, and I've yet to beat in on something. Because when the lights go out, the first thing that I'm going for is power. And if you don't have a generator or anything to do, you're in the dark, period. Let's just start there. So let's just say the stream just ended. I just got kicked off. I'm like, what the hell just happened? I run in the other room. It's like the phone just shut off on me. Oh, maybe the power's out. Grab my cell phone. As soon as I see that cell phone's blacked out and done, that's my tall tale sign. It's begun. And when that happens, you either have your backup generator to flip, guys, or you're in the dark. And when looking at this, generators can be loud, and generators are going to run off propane, but they can run off fuel mostly. There's different kinds. Some people tap them into their homes to where it will power your whole house. Because think about this. When the lights go out, your showers are now cold showers. Unless you can find a way to heat your water tank. And all these things are going to take certain amounts of energy, but you can pull this off. A lot of the systems out there are expensive, but there's ways to go around it. Some of them, like there's a Yeti out there. It's like an energy bank. To me, the smart thing to do is to draw off of everything. Have solar. Some of the solar systems can get expensive out there. If you want to get up into like a 10,000 watt range, it can get up in like $10,000. And there's cheaper ones. But the ideal to me is to have a system that runs off wind with a wind turbine with solar, where you're collecting all that natural energy in an energy port, okay? And then have your gas generator is kind of a separate piece of equipment to go along with it. So during the day, or you could run certain things that have to stay constantly on off the solar power. You see, if you have solar power and wind, you can keep that plugged into your refrigerator, say your water heater, and a couple other things, and you can keep them going around the clock 24/7, as long as you're not going over half load and maxing it out. If you stay at half load, you should be able to keep it going 24/7. Now, the rest of your house, during the day, if you got to get stuff done or do things, that's when you have to fire up the generator. And you're either going to be burning your propane, which you're going to get about 15 to 18 hours off of a propane tank, depending on the generator you got, or 10 to 12, depending on the generator when it comes to gas. But gas and propane are going to be scarce things. If the EMP or anything like that hits, these are fuels you're going to have stockpiled, or you're going to have to find a way, because the gas pumps are not going to work at the gas station. You're going to have to find a way to get gas now just to run those generators. So I said to myself, okay, shit, excuse my language, it almost seems better that if you have more solar and wind.
Right.
And I know it's the more expensive, but you can never run out of it.
And that's why it's so expensive.
That's why it's so expensive. But that's the key here, I'm telling you, is to make sure that your essentials are covered with that. I'm telling you, just to keep...
And if it all hits the fan, don't forget to grab up your path lights that you have in your driveway or we're leading up to your house, because
and I've got them everywhere. I've been stockpiling solar lights for the past 2 or 3 years. Even the old ones that snapped off and everything else. I've collected all the lights, all the solar shells, everything.
Yeah, because they hold those little batteries in them, and if you leave that out during the day, instead of using the battery power to light up the lights at night, you just pull the batteries out. You could throw those into a flashlight or radio or whatever. And
even it during the day, if all those little solar lights you've had in your yard, you can bring them inside, stick them in your windows, let the sun charge it, and as soon as the sun goes down in the evening, you're still going to have 5-6 hours of decent light. You've got enough of them in your windows, in your rooms. You'll have light in your rooms, all from the solar. My motion lights,
good point.
Motion lights right here are solar too. So I try to keep everything as solar as possible, and adding the wind turbine is a benefit too, because if you can get a couple of them, and you're really wanting to just keep replenishing your power bank, and you never want to draw it down to where you're tapping it completely. So, and then you have to think about your energy bank. For those of you out there buying an energy bank, how much will it hold? Are you going to be consuming more than the damn thing can even hold? You have to think about that. You want to get one that can invert enough power to keep you going. And most of these generators they sell here, and the most they have for this, will keep most household appliances going. Most. I think the average refrigerator is going to be 1,000 watts running or less when it runs.
And also you got to start to realize what's your essentials inside of your home. Like, what do you really need plugged in? Like, do you really need that tube television plugged in? No.
Right. Well, your TV is going to be fried anyway. Remember that.
But still, people may have it plugged in, even if it's just plugged in and not being used.
Right.
It'll still be draining power.
Yeah. If you're tapped in through a generator to your house, tapping into everything, you're right. It would do that. And that's some of the small things that leach your energy every day anyway there.
And even some of the little things we take for granted, like building a fire. One of the most invaluable tools that I have in my bug out bag is it's what it's called a blast match. And basically it's a way to create sparks to make a fire without having to rely on, lighter fluid or matches.
Right. Right. And I know, guys, generators make noise, but the solar don't. That's the thing. And that's my thing. I don't want to have my generator in a chaotic situation running where people all the way down the valley can hear it and know that they've got power. They've got gas.
And the main drawback with wind is you need a big turbine. It's got to be tall.
Well, I'll be honest with you, depending on where you're at, with the turbine, for me and my spot here, if you're in a valley or in a certain spot, there's certain ridges around here that, like right now with fall, the leaves are blowing down. There's certain spots in the ridges that just always have wind flowing through them. And like in my area, I could go right up along the hillsides and I could line enough of them to where, there's enough wind force that it would draw power. You just have to set it up in the right spot. But there's other places and flats out here that literally, like you said, they see no wind. And that leaves you in a position where you have no wind. You're feeding off of only solar. And it comes down to your environment, man. Everybody's different out there. Everybody's going to have different elements to deal with. Water purification, another huge one. Can't stress that enough, whether it's little tablets to drop in there. Remember, a teaspoon of bleach goes a long way in killing a lot of bacteria, just the old-fashioned way in a well or in a cistern on water, as well as boiling it. We talked about those life straws, which I still have got to go get the link for those. I think everybody needs one of them. They're like $10, $15. They're good for 6 months. They protect against barium, all kinds of different toxins. And I think everybody needs one in their bug out bag. Things like that, like Casey said, little flint starters. I have a handful of those that spark up a fire. And if you're in a situation like this, depending on if you got gas or electric, your house is, if you're going to use your oven, that's going to consume energy, but then you also need to trap that heat. Well, guess what? If you can't use your oven, how are you going to cook? You have to go outside to the fire pit. If you don't have a fire pit, you're going to have to make one. And this is where you're going to have to live off the fire. And this is where you have to chop wood every day, and you're going to have to keep on top of it just to cook meals. But to do it, you're going to need a grate. Okay? Remember this. This is something cheap and easy you go out and get right now that'll make a world of difference. Is getting a cooking grate to throw over your campfire. That way, once you get a good fire going, you can prop it up over top of it and you can cook good. Yeah, first aid kits, obviously, medicine. We've talked about it before. And this comes down to people too, the skills of people. Having a good doctor around on the street or in the neighborhood or anything like that, those things are going to be, priceless
Also,
in an emergency situation.
Also, another thing, like I just was telling a coworker of mine about it, and he used it. He had an emergency situation, needed it, and it worked perfectly. Like those Mylar blankets. Those are amazing if, like, you live in a cold climate and you have a situation where you don't have any heating source. Throw one of those things over you, you'll be nice and warm.
What is it?
Mylar blanket, also known as space blankets.
Oh, yeah, I was getting ready to say solar blanket. Ones that can like suck up the heat from the sun and keep you warm, trap all the heat inside.
These would be more so for nighttime.
For nighttime, okay. We're kind of the same concept, though.
Yeah, pretty similar.
There's a lot of things out there, guys. You're definitely going to need tools, but I'm going to look at all the things we're talking. There's one thing you're going to need above all, and that's people. That's people. You snatch up all your bug out bags with just the food in it. You can't even carry your ammo. I'm telling you now, you need people. It's going to take people, and you're going to need people on your properties to defend it. Because if not, there's going to be a bigger crew that comes through at some point. You have to love your people, man.
Oh, I would say there's pretty much two things that you really need: people and knowledge. Because if you have no knowledge on anything that you're doing, then you can't use anything.
In resources, and those are the top two that you said. Yes, you need the people and the brains to be able to draw on those resources, what to do with those resources, how to survive off the land. And We've talked on videos about certain plants, edible plants you could eat out here. Those are key things to know. What food in your own backyard, whether you thought about it or not, it's going to save your life. A dandelion. If you've got a bunch of them growing, I'll be eating the whole damn field that day before I die. You see? And you can get protein, nutrition from ants, other things. It may sound sick, but this is real when you're in a survival situation. Now, I also want people to realize that if you think you're just going to go growing a garden your first season and you're putting your whole family's lives and hopes into that batch, that you really need to start prepping, because usually to irrigate ground real good, it takes a couple seasons. If anyone knows anything about farming and growing things here in Kentucky, it's a way of life. Farmers everywhere, friends, family, uncle does it, cows, horses, all the whole nine, all kinds of different animals. It's Kentucky. But farming here, it teaches you one thing, that even here the ground can be different. Central Kentucky is different than, say, Eastern Kentucky. The ground is made of hard shell rock, harder to grow things. You see, head down toward the Appalachians, the ground starts to change. I mean, same if you go to the West Coast. The West Coast is made of a different substance than what it is over here on the East Coast. But your earth that you're sitting on, how well will it take the plants you're trying to put in it? That's the thing. You don't want to have all your hopes on a crop and that crop fail. So it's good to have stockpiled rice, beans, things that'll last a long time. Have them in sealable buckets, containers, things of that nature. Good tips, cheap things for survival. You can go out and get beans and rice right now and put them in little white buckets, seal them off with a lid, and tuck them away. It's something.
Yeah, because all it takes is a little bit of warm water and let it sit in there. You almost don't even have to cook it, or very low heat, and you can have a really hearty and good meal of beans and rice.
And if you go get like one of those 20-pound bags, that'll last you for weeks.
Yeah, or months.
Even months, depending on the size of your family.
I know, because last year I lived off of beans and rice, so I know exactly how it works.
I know one thing, copyright. You just got banned.
Uh-oh. Look out.
I love it. Listen,
Yeah.
everyone's free to comment and say whatever they want. Y'all should know in the chat. But you want to come running your mouth to me, you expect to get bounced. You want to be disrespectful and drop racist comments, you're going to get bounced. Quick. The only thing I ask is respect. Everyone's free to their opinions. But, yeah, I want to thank everybody that joined us today. We get ready to shut this down. Another good stream here. Covered a lot here. And like I said, there's a lot of information in these links, but use discernment, with everything. Everything. I can't stress enough the scale of the Psyop that's in motion. I fully expect them to shift things with this whole FBI stuff. And really, it's a day-by-day thing here. We'll have Underground World News live tomorrow over on the other channel, W77, 8:15 p.m. Eastern, roughly. It's usually when we go live. And anything happens between now and then, we'll be updating on. So you guys got any shout-outs, anything you want to say before we cut off here?
Good show, man. It's good for us to stay on top of this stuff, and everybody sub up to all of our channels. Be ready, because like Dabu was saying, we could go live at any time, especially as we lead into the election.
Yep, and shout outs to everybody once again that's tuned in. See you guys out there, Hewing, Darren, August, Selena, Mac, Kathleen, John, Hope for Truth, Mike, Smitty, Sign, Crypto, Nighthawk, 222, Molly, Free Videos, Religionless Faith, Kiss My Rash, Pete Willis, Observer 71, Bruce City, Don Reed, Ducko, Simon, Brad Shaws, Lee Breezy, Z-Man, Amy Kane, No Hidden Intentions, Believe, Dean, Mike Roberts, what's up, brother? Stephanie, Edgelock, and Mike. I didn't know if you'd seen it earlier. I didn't know if you were tuned in or what you were doing. I didn't know if you were going live out there at that event or not, but I'm just now checking. Yeah. 11 minutes ago, you just messaged me, man. My bad, brother. We'll lose track of the tweets when and the messages when we go live, and I try to focus on the show here. But AB, all you guys out there, learn, discern, good name. We will catch you guys on the flip side. It's been Dabu7 and the crew, and this is Illuminati. To the death of us.